You're listening to Behind the Mic with AudioFile magazine. I'm Joe Reed. In preparation for next week's awards, we're revisiting our conversations about some of the Audie finalists. Today, Kendra Winchester discusses one of the finalists in the fiction category. Let's listen.
We have some great listens for everyone today. First up is a historical fiction novel called Rednecks by Taylor Brown, and this is performed by Ramiz Monsef. And this is a historical fiction novel set around the events of the Battle of Blair Mountain, which happened in southern West Virginia along the border with Kentucky in the early 1920s. And this novel primarily follows a character named Doc Moo. He was a Lebanese American doctor working in the minefields of southern West Virginia.
And that was the largest labor uprising still in U.S. history, the Battle of
Yes.
Blair Mountain.
Yes. It was thousands and thousands of miners went on strike because of the horrible work conditions. And then the coal companies hired basically mercenaries to come and fight on their side. And it was just this very violent event in history for workers' rights that a lot of people don't even know happened because of the narrative was suppressed after it ended as well.
That's right. And federal troops were called out on
Hmm.
them, and the unionization of the coal mines was a long and bitter struggle.
Yes, yes. And people, when a lot of people may not realize this, but the mining companies often own the miners' houses as well. So when they went on strike, they also lost all of their housing. A lot of their items they owned in the house, they were just thrown completely out. And so they
Mhm.
lived in these camps, and so they often didn't have health care. So the author actually took inspiration from his own great grandfather, who was a man who came over and was a doctor. And so it's an incredible book.
It's a novel, an historical novel, and typically they will come down on a side, and I'm assuming they're on the side of the miners, the workers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so, and Ramiz Monsef is a phenomenal performer. I love the way that he was able to capture so many different accents and the cadence but without overdoing it, which I think is a really fine line to strike for sure.
Oh, I completely agree. He narrated The Witchstone by Henry Neff,
Oh.
which does not sound like one of my books because, that could be scary, but it's a really funny book, and he was wonderful.
I will definitely be checking more books out of his that he's performed because I just love the way that he was able to enhance the characters. There are a lot of viewpoint characters, though we are primarily following Doc Moo's experience, but it could have been confusing, but it wasn't because each character just shined in their own right, and I really love that about this book. And it's also very actiony. There's so much action going on, but the pacing is really
Mhm.
well done, and Monsef is able to create this tension throughout the audiobook that really keeps your attention.
Well, let's hear a little, shall we?
All right, so this little bit we're going to listen to is the introduction, the background of Doc Moo, and kind of how he came to be working with so many coal miners.
This is Rednecks. It's by Taylor Brown, and it's read by Ramiz Monsef.
Doc Moo was up at the coal camp above town, checking on an elderly patient of his, when the Baldwins came rattling up the road in a pair of tin Lizzies, their rifles and shotguns prickling from the windows like hackles and spines. The doctor touched the small, three-barred Maronite cross at his throat. "Alama," he whispered. "Blindness. The same curse he used to hear his father utter in the back of their barn, swearing over a busted plow harness or olive rake on their farm in Mount Lebanon. Dr. Domit Muhanna hadn't seen his father since he set sail for America 30 years ago, at the age of 14, landing at the port of New Orleans and traveling upriver on a Mississippi riverboat full of cane-tucks with long knives and short tempers. Boatmen traveling home after blowing their pay in the taverns and flophouses of the French Quarter. Muhanna was headed for the University of Kentucky. A brilliant student, his family's great hope to carve a life for future generations in America.
I like that undercurrent of excitement that's in his voice,
Hmm.
and that pacing, because you really feel like, oh, a story is coming. Get
Yes.
ready. I am about to tell you a story, and that's
Yes.
really cool.
And I love the smoothness, the quality to his voice is
Yeah, me
just
too.
something I could listen. I mean, I have. I could listen to for hours.
Yeah, no.
It's really well done.
That is Rednecks by Taylor Brown, and it's read by Ramiz Monsef. This has been Behind the Mic with AudioFile Magazine. Tomorrow, we're looking at a finalist in YA. Stop by audiofilemagazine.com where you can find reviews for hundreds and hundreds of audiobooks so you can make an informed listening choice. I'm Jo Reed. I'll talk to you tomorrow.